the moment where I thought everything was over. And the weird thing about moments like these is that you lose all sense of time. In retrospect, maybe it was 4 seconds, maybe it was 5 seconds, maybe it was 10 seconds, maybe it was 1 second. I don't know. It felt like my brain was able to have so many thoughts in that moment, between these screams and these yells of, where is she? Where is she? And so I go down and I thought I was going to die. And I had a lot of thoughts. You have a lot of thoughts, I think, when you're in a situation like that. And like also one of those thoughts that I had was, I just happened to, be a spiritual person and be raised in that context. And I really just felt like, if this is the plan for me, then people will be able to take it from here. I had a lot of thoughts, but that was the thought that I had about you all. I felt that if this was the journey that my life was taking, that I felt that things were going to be okay. And that, I had fulfilled my purpose. Anyways, sorry guys. So anyways, as I'm hiding in this bathroom, hearing these yells of these men, or just just one man going, where is she? Where is she? I start to look through the door hinge to see if I can see anything. And there's like a door here and there's like another door here. So I'm like trying to look through two door hinges. And so I look through this door hinge and I see this white man in a black beanie just like open the door of my personal office and come inside the personal office and yell again, where is she? And I have never been quieter in my entire life. I was just, I don't even know if I held my breath, but I was just, here behind there, and I just start sliding down. And then all of a sudden I hear my staffer G yell out. And he's like, hey, it's okay. Come out. So I'm like, I don't know, so deeply rattled. I'm still processing the end of my life when I come out. And I come out, and this man is a Capitol Police officer. But the story doesn't end. It's a Capitol Police officer. There was no partner, was not yelling, Capitol Police, etc., etc. But then it didn't feel right. Because he was looking at me with a tremendous amount of anger and hostility. And things weren't adding up. Like, there was no partner there. And no one was yelling. He wasn't yelling like, this is Capitol Police, this is Capitol Police. And he was looking at me in all of this anger and hostility. And at first, in my brain and in my mind, I'm thinking, okay, I just came from this super intense experience just now. Maybe I'm reading into this, right? Like maybe I'm projecting, like something onto him that like maybe I'm just seeing anger, but maybe he's not trying to be angry. But I talked to G, my legislative director, after the fact, and he said, no, I didn't know if he was there to help us or hurt us either. And G was actually like, this man came with so much hostility that G was sizing him up and didn't know if he was going to have to fight him. Like that is how like aggressive the situation was in that moment. And we couldn't even tell, we couldn't read if like this was a good situation or a bad situation. It was so like, like so many other communities in this country, like just that presence doesn't necessarily give you a clear signal if you're safe or not. And so the situation did not feel okay. And then he just looks at me and yells at me, and he just go down and then go to this other building. I'm not gonna like name the specific building, but he basically says, go down and go to this building. But he just says the name of the building, doesn't say anything else. But we're so rattled in that moment. And the situation felt so volatile with this officer that I run over, I grab my bag, and we just start running over to that building. Now, mind you, we weren't escorted. He didn't like come with us or follow us, or anything like that. So G and I just start running to this other building. We run down and we run to this other building. And it wasn't until we get to that building that we realize he didn't give us a specific location. He didn't give us a room. He didn't give us a place to go to. He just gave us, he said, go down. He told us to go to a certain level of a certain building. And that level of that building was street level. And so we can hear, because the buildings were not secure yet, and this is around the time when the Capitol was being stormed, that we can like hear all of these rioters behind the glass of the doors, and we have no specific location to go to. We're in the hallway. We're in like the Dunkin' Donuts of the basement, and we don't have any secure place to go. And so we're in just an open hallway, and we hear the yells of these people trying to break into the building that we're in. And I'm just like, I don't know where to go. I don't know where to go. And so I think, and there are 2 members of Congress that I know in that building. And I was like, let's go there. And so it literally felt like just, I don't know, it almost felt like a zombie movie or something. And so I thought one of the members in my head, I'm just like, I think they're on the 5th floor. So I run to the 5th floor and we start going around, and this is when we start losing precious time. We start hearing the yells. We go up to the 5th floor. We start hearing the yells of these people. And then we hear like other Capitol Police trying to protect the building, barking back at these people. And it just feels like it's just a matter of seconds when these doors are going to break through and they're going to get in. And so it's the 5th floor, and we run around, and I'm not finding this member's office. And we circle and we go all the way around. And I'm like, shoot, she's not here. She's not here. And so I literally go on Google, and I'm like Googling on public information what floor they're on. And so we start realizing, oh, they're on the 5th floor. They're on the 1st floor. The 5th floor is where the Progressive Caucus meets. So that's why I have that muscle memory, at least where we met pre-COVID. And anyway, so we start running down this spiral staircase to the 1st floor. And we get to the first floor and we hear the yells getting louder and louder, like, rah, 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 you know, just like I hear like the hinges cracking, you know, it just feels like you can hear all of this yelling and screaming. And as we're going down this spiral staircase closer to the street level, like the yells only get louder and louder and louder that you hear. And so we run to this member's office and I start knocking on the door. I start banging on it. And like at this point, no one is in any of the hallways and we're completely alone. And so I start banging on this door and I said, it's okay. It's me. Let me in. And they may not have heard me or something like that. I call them. And you know, all of this is, I don't know, maybe happening in 30 seconds, 60 seconds. It's really hard to kind of attest to the passage of time, but it happened so fast and I just like couldn't get through immediately. So I realized that I had actually passed by Katie Porter's office. And all of this stuff was happening so quickly that I saw Katie Porter like going into her office, just like holding a cup of coffee because all of these developments were happening so rapidly that I think some people were at different awareness levels and at different like urgency levels than others. And so, I start running back and I remember that I had seen Katie Representative Porter. I got to put respect on everybody's names. So I saw Representative Porter walking into her office. And so I run back, and I knock on the door and I'm just like, bang, 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 bang. And she opens and I'm like, hey, Katie, can I shelter with you right now? And Katie's like, yeah, of course. Come on in. I'm like, yeah, come on. And so we go into her office. And I'm at like a 10, right? Like I am at a full 10, fight or flight, thought I was going to die like 10 minutes ago, then thought I was going to die again, because I have to tell you that when I was banging on this door, I had thought, fully expected that by this point the building had been breached and there were people walking the hallways. Like this was what I had fully expected to be having been gone on in that moment. And so when we're outside in this hallway alone, I'm banging on this door and I'm thinking, and I'm fully expecting one of these insurrectionists to turn the corner with a gun and that it would be over again. And so we run back, and I'm like at a 10 because I've probably had 2 times today that I already thought that I was going to die. And I'm like, you know, bust into Katie's office. And Katie's like having a cup of coffee. Like, I think the information's still trickling in, etc. And so I start, you know, ripping through Katie's office like a mad woman. You know, poor Katie, I'm like opening every closet. I'm opening every nook. I'm opening like every cranny, looking for where I'm going to hide when they get into this office. And I tell Katie, I say, because there's a gym in the House office building, and I turned to Katie and I said, have any of your staffers left any workout clothes or anything under their desks? And she was like, yeah, like I'll check. And so, and she starts like looking through, and she finds this bag, and, you know, in just perfect fashion, like she's super collected, and I'm just like, we need this, we need that. And she's like, bam, bam. And, you know, we're working together. And so I pull, like, she pulls this like bag of workout clothes from one of her staffers, and it has like sneakers in it. And so I pull the sneakers, and this whole time I'm still in high heels, right? And so I'm like, you know, going around looking through all this stuff. They find some snacks, things like that. And G and some of the other staffers are pushing like the couches up against the door. And I had this thought then, and so many have made this point since, but it's like all of these drills that people had on school shootings. It was like, okay, we're going to push the furniture up against the door. We're going to barricade us in, etc. And so G is like pushing the furniture up. I'm looking for clothes to change into. And the reason why I'm feeling like we need clothes to change into is because if I need to jump out a window or if I need to run, I need to blend in with the crowd as much as possible. And if I'm in high heels, if I'm in my congressional, if I'm in like workwear and my dress, I'd be easily recognized in a crowd. And so I'm like going through all of these things. And Katie has an extra like puffy jacket, and so she gives me her extra puffy jacket. So I'm in like this puffy jacket. I'm in someone else's puffy jacket. I'm in someone else's sneakers, and I'm fully just like bracing for impact for these people to breach the perimeter of our building. And so many things happen in this period when we were sheltering together. And like all these crazy thoughts go through your mind. And even like just racially, even Katie and I were having these conversations, and it's like it like where you feel like we as members, our nameplates are next to our offices, and it's like, are some offices safer than others because they have white sounding names, or because they have male sounding names, or like who would be safer to hide in because you would expect them least in that office, like all these crazy things that you're thinking. And it's like, this is what it's come to. And so we were sheltering in there for a long time, making all these contingency plans. And we turned off all the lights because I was afraid that, it's January in Washington, D.C. The sun sets mad early. It's like 3:45 and the sun is already setting. And so I'm like, we got to turn off all the lights, because if they see the offices with the lights on, like, who knows if they target that. At this point, we start getting intelligence that bombs have been found. About like 1 block away from where we were, 1 or 2 blocks away from where we were. And then a second one, like 3 blocks away from where we were. And so I'm also fully expecting, or maybe not expecting, but I'm wondering, like, or feeling or preparing for one of the wings of the building to explode, because we had gotten intelligence that there were bombs found very close to where we were. And so we're sheltering, and I'm thinking, what do we do if the building explodes? What do we do if this happens? What do we do if they break into this office that we're in? And through all of this, what also felt crazy traumatizing is just feeling like there were people that were willing to do what they needed to do. The incredibly brave staffers that were with us,